one of my favorite schemers in the VC game. Always thinking about it. He's a big Tesla investor, I think.
Absolutely.
But also he's been following Sam Altman super closely. He's investing in a ton of awesome startups. I'm super excited to pick his brain and dive deep into a bunch of different schemes because he's one of the most unique thinkers in the tech game. So don't let us down, Blake.
I won't let you down.
Okay, so
let me kick it off and say, I think the Sam and Elon beef it's manufactured. They're boys. I get it.
Oh, he's already got a hot take.
I get it. They're upset about the nonprofit conversion, but like, come on. It's like him and Trump too. It's better for the media to think that they're not friends than if they actually are perceived to be friends. So,
wow, I'm already loving the levels of this scheme. Okay, before we get too much in the Sam Elon thing, because that's a whole crazy thing I want to get into.
Yep.
What did you think of the Tesla shareholder meeting? Happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first take on the shareholder meeting?
I think it's a great contrast because the shareholder meeting was about the same time as the first socialist mayor of New York was elected, and they are sort of the polar opposites. I think it's like a dichotomy or just sort of emblematic of the times where there's like the full throttle capitalism approach of 75% of shareholders voting for Elon to create abundance, and if he does, then he'll be compensated with $1 trillion of net worth. That, of course, Elon is not going to be sitting in a bank account. I'll use it for Mars or for other endeavors. But then the contrast of, people wanting a higher floor, some universal basic income or universal health care or education or things like that, that is clearly gaining momentum on the coasts, like with Mamdami. So I just think it's a really fascinating time to be alive. As Elon says, fate loves irony, and paradoxes are very common. So to me, it's just super interesting to have both running a parallel path at once, and we'll be able to watch the experiment unfold. As a shareholder, as a fan of technology, I'm so relieved and so thrilled that the package passed, because guys like Elon, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome.
Yep.
These milestones have to be met in order for him to make $1. And if the milestones are met, then there's a significant step change of abundance, of just quality of life improvement that affects everybody, both in America, outside of America. The ambition of what Tesla is aiming to accomplish between cars, robotics, chips, everything in between. I think it's amazing. It's truly amazing that he's chosen to spend his life this way, or the entire team has spent their life.
Like, you wouldn't want to be Elon. Like, he's sacrificing so much. Like, I was talking to someone like that last night. It's like, damn,
Exactly.
like, I feel like we look up to Elon so much, but then it's like sometimes important to remind yourself. It's like, damn, like, I don't know if you want to be Elon. Like,
He's the first to admit it. Like, you don't want to be him unless you want to work 100-hour weeks and make that kind of sacrifice. And of course, it comes with glory. But I would rather be the beneficiary of all that abundance and be able to place chips in a bunch of different entrepreneurs than live the daily life and struggle that Elon endures. Not trying to make him out to be a victim. There's plenty of people that will watch this and think the opposite, and that's fair.
no, but it's real.
But it is real. It's admirable. It's incredible. He channels this energy and inspires engineering talent to come work with him on some of the world's most important problems.
All right, fire start. I have a gazillion more questions. We're going to set up the mics and get going. So let's go.
Vamos.
Like fire. All right.
Awesome. Let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, we're back with Blake. Thank you for
Welcome
doing
aboard.
the Cybertruck, bro. This is the vibe.
Just a car. Everybody has one.
Might break a little sweat here, but I think it's going to be worth it for the pod.
Absolutely.
So we were just talking about the Elon comp package. We do a lot of scheming. You're obviously in the VC space, investing in these crazy founders early. How does this Elon pay package set the tone for compensation, aligning incentives in general? Because I think that's a big idea, is it's not even just about Tesla and Elon, it's about changing executive compensation overall.
Yeah. Look, I think if you're in our world of tech venture, you get it. It's like you want to align the CEO, the founder, with shareholders and with outcomes. So I think it was brilliantly designed. Like when Robin became chairman of Tesla, we didn't know exactly what we were going to get. Mm-hmm. And it seems obvious that there's a really good balance between Elon and his own ambitions and letting him swing for the fences and come up with super audacious milestones, but aligning those milestones with what shareholders deserve and aligning those, that value.
So you voted for.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go.
And I think, look, if like the Collisons or Sam Altman or Palmer or any of these founders wanted to tie their performance, like to come up with a similar pay package, we should celebrate that. It takes enormous courage to go Babe Ruth and put out the bat and say you're going to hit a home run and then actually swing and hit it. It's very rare.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like no comp until a certain milestone is crazy. But I'm not going to bore you, like suck into Tesla too much, because that's not your full world. I want to get what's on the top of Blake's mind. Like, that's what I'm always interested in. Like, what are you looking at? What are you watching? What's been interesting in the tech world to you recently?
Yeah, I mean, how Tesla ties into my world is it's sort of the like utopic version of a vertically integrated hardware and software company. SpaceX too. So it's just like, it's the model. It's like you have the visionary founder who's an engineer, who's a technologist, who's extremely competent, has proven time and time again they're able to bend reality, to their will to create a positive impact and create value for their investors and for their employees and all their stakeholders. So that's just the gold standard. And I think it's like, how do you train, as me or anyone picking a jockey to bet on, how do you train your mental model to recognize the pattern of this might be the next, again, Elon, Sam, Palmer, pick your favorite entrepreneur.
Yep.
So I think that's how it comes in. Plus the fact that he moved to Texas, and there's the Gigafactory right across the highway in Bastrop from where I'm investing in startups directly. I benefit.
Like you're
from,
here, like
I'm here.
in the new Silicon Valley, which is, so you're seeing it.
Yeah, seeing it, feeling it. Just meeting incredibly talented engineers. Companies like Saronic are based here, Base Power.
But I would push back. I want to hear your take on who the next Elons are, but is Elon a category in his own? Because so one of my other VC mentors I really respect, he told me kind of like, he almost gave up on investing in other founders just because Elon is so in a league of his own and dominating almost everything. Like, what's your take on that kind of end of the spectrum? Like, that's something I've often struggled with in the public market, is finding someone with that same level of conviction where the incentives are set up, who's actually like, not just taking a job, but building something real in the world. Like,
I think there's a good argument to make that like the next Mag 7 that like has so significantly outperformed the S&P 500 or 493 could just be Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. It could be the Elon orbit. I think there's a very good argument.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where my money is. So
yeah, I think I think that's rational to put your eggs in all of those baskets. But Elon paves the way for entrepreneurship. Elon, and I don't want to glaze Elon too much. Like, I am personally inspired, grateful, in moments in my life where I'm having, quarter life crisis and things and thinking about purpose. The fact that like humanity is being driven towards sustainable energy and transportation and abundance, and then exploring, beyond the earth and exploring whatever else is out there in the universe. I do want to glaze, but also just want to be, I think that one of the best things that has happened in general is founders have seen like sort of what great looks like, and you only know what like excellence looks like from having seen it or worked in it. And all the partners and employees that have worked at SpaceX, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, pick your favorite tech giant, they then learn what, they're standing on the shoulders of giants. So they learn what works well, what mistakes were made, and then it's an iterative process that creates this positive sum, abundant society that we're so grateful and fortunate to live in. And, not just the rich getting richer, but creating more affordable energy, more affordable air conditioning, more affordable and cleaner water. These are all problems that I'm personally investing in. And
so you have a bit of HyperChange DNA, invest in the future you believe in, like, because at first glance I feel like you're a cutthroat capitalist, but you're kind of you're saying there's a little more to it.
Absolutely, I'm a HyperChange. I'm investing in the future I believe in. What's the point of investing in something that I don't believe in? Like, I have no alpha. I won't know if it's working or if it isn't. Like, I have to invest in things that I like authentically believe in.
Like it's actually smart to do that. Yeah.
So you can measure and know if it's working, because it's something that you really feel and know it is important to be built. On the capitalist point, like, and maybe this is a segue to a Worldcoin or a Sam Altman or Bernie Sanders or Mamdami. Like, I think good intentions are across the board. And you could say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So like, take that all with a grain of salt on like what the right economic model is in this era of abundance, of access to information, where we might have a trillionaire in the next 5 years. So does that mean there should be a floor? Should there be a universal basic amount that's just a baseline to keep people from off the streets? I'm so open-minded to that. I think probably, who knows?
Like the inevitability of UBI, which is so interesting. I didn't want to cut you off, but to jump in, you're giving me this idea of like, we think you started this with the contrast of Elon and Mamdami, two of these, figures on the rise, very powerful in this new world. And we think of them as polar opposites, but in many ways, when I was at the shareholder meeting, I was almost like, there's a bit of the DNA in Tesla, which is to give everyone, great healthcare, give everyone great housing, have this abundance. Like, that almost is what Mamdani's vision is. So in some ways, the irony is, I'm seeing a lot of irony there, and that in the long run, they actually have a lot more in common than different.
And I urge like Trump or Elon or Vance or Rubio, whoever is a leader, like, rather than calling Mamdami because you disagree with his socialist policies, which I happen to fully disagree with. Like, I do think capitalism and free markets, it's dangerous. It's a very slippery slope to go against that. And just look at, past countries that have tried it, or places that have tried it. But there is a little bit of like, everything is a projection or a confession, and the things that we like absolutely despise or get an emotional reaction out of us, we often have in ourselves. So let's just bridge that gap. Like, to the Republicans that are in power, any success is under your watch. Any government shutdown, it's under your watch. You are the party in power. So I just think, like, have conversations with the Mamdamis, AOCs, Bernies, everybody of the world. Do them publicly.
Yeah.
Battle test those ideas publicly.
Sam Altman, tell me your stories about Sam Altman, because you have a lot of unique perspectives on him. I think whatever your opinion is on him, it's hard to deny that he's one of the most successful tech founders in the era. He's built an insane product that's like scaling faster than the internet has happened. And it's probably changed humanity forever. And you could argue, maybe Elon's a founder, so he has as much credit there with the OpenAI thing. But what's your take? I want to give you the floor here. Let's hear you riff.
So I've never met Sam in person. He's from St. Louis, where my mom is from. I'm from Texas. In Texas, and definitely in the Midwest, there's not that many groundbreaking technology companies. So graduating college, I admired, and I would go on YouTube. I would just watch and observe everything from going to Omaha for the Berkshire Hathaway conference to just spending nights watching Sam and Elon and Alex Carr, Palmer, so many different entrepreneurs. Sam is in the league of, well, I'll just say my personal experience with him was, I've basically found out.
Wait, in a league of what though? I wanted to get, that sounded good. You were about to say something.
Sam is in a league of Elon and Palmer and Steve Jobs. And prior to OpenAI, he had a great reputation from YC, as far as I can tell. Just do good for others without expecting anything in return. The very like Silicon Valley ethos of just founder friendly, quick to work with, quick to get a yes on the capital or the investing side. Be super supportive, open up your network, be the sounding board that's there to text or call at midnight, 3 a.m., whenever, that's just genuinely friends and cares about their founders. And I think that's really the alpha, is knowing the next generation of great entrepreneurs. And like J-Cal is a good example. Like, he just happened to be, around TK and these guys at the right time, and was able to get into those great companies because he had a great reputation. Won't speak, I think, like the right thing to do, the smart thing to do in my role as the investor is to take as little credit as possible, of course, because I'm not doing any the work, but to be like the true angel that's invisible, that is helpful, that has the reputation, and that's how you sustain alpha over time. It's by doing well for others and really expecting nothing in return, but knowing that karma is real, and that's how the next great entrepreneur will find you or want you to invest in their company, because the hardest part is winning the deal. It's not always finding the entrepreneur.
So back to Sam Altman though, you're getting off track here. What is he embodying that typical angel investor?
Sam, I think, is the gold standard of that
And
investment.
why do you say that though?
Reputation had heard reputation just through YC, and I think his track record speaks for itself, and the other founders that advocate on his behalf prior to becoming a superstar all speak to that. My personal experience with him was he's from St. Louis, my mom's from St. Louis. I had a friend go to his mom's dermatology office and tell her, like, my family friend is super interested in technology, he's graduating college, will Sam talk to him? And Sam said yes. And we talked for about an hour in 2018.
Wow. So you have talked to Sam Altman. You did kind of meet him.
Yeah, we met over the phone.
Okay.
And he introduced me to Steve Davis, who was CEO of the Boring Company at the time, introduced me to Scott Nolan, who was at Founders Fund at the time, now is working on General Matter, the uranium enrichment business that Founders Fund incubated. And it's just paid spades, and Sam has asked for absolutely zero in return. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm the exception in that. The branding, the PR problem that he has is, like, one, Elon went through it. Every powerful person goes through this just like trust issue where everyone, if you're right, then you're going to accumulate so much power, so you need to get thrown rocks at all the way up to just like make sure you're as pure as you can possibly be. So I think it's healthy for the system for him to take that criticism. But I just think that
you're seeing the good side.
Yeah, I think like Worldcoin, his most dystopian thing.
Tell people what Worldcoin is if they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a ecosystem, a platform that verifies your humanness. So, and how does it do that? It does it by scanning your iris, your eyeball. The reason is not because they want to collect your eyeballs and sell it elsewhere. There's cryptography and blockchain and a lot of technical advancements that make it much more privacy preserving than like a Clear, for example, where you scan your eyes at an airport. But the purpose of it is Sam sees what OpenAI is able to do with things like Sora and deepfakes. And we are entering this fine line. Some of my friends call it like we're in this post-truth society where you don't even know what's real and what isn't.
Yeah, you have to double check everything you see on the internet, maybe already.
Yeah, and I'm sure people have seen Reels or TikToks or YouTube of like Cathie Wood or Elon pitching some crypto token that they didn't actually pitch.
Those are the worst,
that they didn't actually pitch.
Yeah.
But if you're a complete outsider, if you're a lawyer who's just checking, you're scrolling, whatever, and you see this deepfake, you're gonna fall for it. And then they think, oh, he's a scammer, and it's just like builds on top of itself. So having that true privacy preserving technology is super important. The eyeball, the reason why it's an eyeball is there's the most entropy, the most randomness of any part of your body is in your eyeball. It's the most unique thing. You can be an identical twin and you have the same fingerprint, but you have different eyeballs.
Cool.
So there's reasons behind it all. To tie it back to Sam and Elon's beef, like to start the company, wanted it to be a nonprofit, makes sense. To get to the scale,
because let's unpack that, because that is the root of it, the nonprofit to think, you know.
Yeah, I think they got to an inflection point where, in order to get the compute and have the resources to build something as great as OpenAI is, or ChatGPT is, or Sora is, they knew that we live in a capitalist society and you need to incentivize investors. So that transition is extremely reasonable to me. How it went down, I wasn't there, I don't know. They're allowed to have some beef and some fighting or some disagreement about it. But for these all-stars, these companies that are fighting for talent, they're going to prioritize, they're going to villainize their opponents, and they're going to, rally the ones that choose their mission or their team. So I wouldn't get too lost in like these guys hate each other or they're evil. They're actually so much more similar than they are different. They're just competitive, so
I like it. Okay.
that's how it manifests.
Would you say, so a big part of Elon and Grok is it's maximally truth-seeking? That's like a North Star, the vision for Grok. So do you think, and it seems like he's almost saying that in a response to the other AIs, not even just ChatGPT, but Gemini and others. How do you take that? Where do you see the North Star for ChatGPT and Sam Altman? Because I think that's a little bit of where people maybe don't trust him as much. It's like, what is his real end goal? Like, he's saying he didn't have any equity and is doing it for the love of the game, which maybe is totally true, but I think people are kind of questioning what is his end vision here.
Yeah, I'll speak on the equity part first. I think in Sam's role of being like a post-economic human being that has more money than he can spend, the goodwill of saying, I'm not taking equity in this, I just believe in it, I want to build it, more equity for you, makes all the sense in the world to me. It's a strong incentive to attract great people. Now people look at him and they're like, well, that's obviously disingenuous. You obviously want money, and kind of are clawing back at him for that. But I think at the time, with the information that he had, it made sense. And I think all that will work itself out. As far as one truth seeking, I don't think there will be one, and that's the beauty of it. It's, OpenAI will have theirs, X will have theirs, Anthropic will have theirs, Google will have theirs. There's many different foundational layers of knowledge and applications on top of them. And you should always be discerning and skeptical of what you see and read. There shouldn't be, that would be a very dystopian society if there was one oracle that you could just ask questions to and you were gonna get the automatic right answer. I don't think that exists. It's like the search for truth. Elon is the most, first principles, physics-based oriented founder. And if I had to pick one jockey, it's him for sure, that would have the most truth-seeking platform. But I think OpenAI is doing everything in their power to be just as maximally truth-seeking, and it's great that they're both striving for it.
And another angle to it is with the recent Elon shareholder vote, I think so much of it gets spun as compensation when it's really about ownership and control of these powerful technologies, which I think is the flip side of the Sam Altman thing. It's like, okay, well, you're really doing it for the good, but isn't it scary to build something? And then he got ousted and then kind of came back. So, probably he doesn't want to be in that position, but I feel like that's another thing where the governance of OpenAI is such a kind of a very interesting, weird patchwork that I think, show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome. Mm-hmm. So the incentives are less clear in some ways.
Yeah, look, any great company that gets built, there's going to be dispute on who was the co-founder. It's ironic because Elon of Tesla technically wasn't a co-founder, according to Martin Eberhard.
Oh, yeah.
And his co-founder. So, fate really loves irony. It really does. And there's going to be disputes over who contributed the most. And you got to take your ego out of it and just have that love for what you're building to where it doesn't matter who gets credit, with the dose of realism that you should get compensated fairly for the work that you put into it. And I think it was messy. It was a true step change innovation of consciousness, of creating compute consciousness with ChatGPT, that the fact that it was a funky start into this hybrid profit and nonprofit makes all the sense in the world to me. It's that's where we are in society. Maybe we need tons of abundance and tons of capitalism with this tiny little bit of nonprofit that actually goes to the people who, I don't even want to say left behind in society, but that are struggling and are food insecure and need that help. I have every reason to want and believe that that's the path that our leaders will bring us to. I think everybody wants humanity. Most people are good. Everybody wants humanity to be a positive sum and for everybody to win together. There's competition along the way, but that's what has led to humans being around for as long as we have, and I think it'll continue.
And then, so now moving forward, I love your take on the drama and a little more optimistic and rational. It's super interesting. I love having this dialogue because it gives me a new perspective, So I appreciate that. And I'm curious, I didn't want to grill you too much, but so I like you hanging in there. But
grill me.
Let's talk about the UBI though, because I feel like that's the next layer. That's kind of where we were going with this. We're in the game. We're trying to invest in startups. We're thinking 10 to 20 years out. And so I think in many ways, my favorite thing about being an investor is you're an anthropologist. If you're really a long-term investor, like that's why I love investing. Like I think if aliens visited a planet, if I was visiting an alien planet, the first thing I'd want to see is their stock market and financials and which companies are valued higher at the highest PE ratios, why, what does that mean about their thoughts of the future? You could unpack so much about society from that. So I think there's a lot of fascinating, anthropology in that. Where do we go from here? Because I think we're at such a crux of like, I love the Elon pay package. I'm here in Austin. We're celebrating. Everyone's so happy. It was like a kumbaya moment last night at the Tesla shareholder meeting, and it was like so special. And then I get on X, and like Bernie Sanders is already fired off like, Elon's a trillionaire. This is literally the worst thing ever. And it was just such a juxtaposition. So I feel like we haven't had a revolution or dramatic change in our lifetimes, but that doesn't mean we won't, and they always happen. So, with that ramble, what's your take on where all this is going with the UBI?
Yeah, I think trillionaire label, any label is fodder for political activism, and being ignorant of that is just ignorant. So there's something to be said about those labels, but it's funny because I have a friend who was saying he does not want Elon to become a trillionaire because that will be fuel in the fire for socialism. So in order to prevent Elon from becoming a trillionaire, he wants to, and this is a raw idea, I'm not ousting my friend, but he wants to cap Elon from becoming a trillionaire, which is like inherently socialist or anti-capitalist.
Like he's jumping the gun on socialism.
By trying to prevent it, he is creating it, or we are creating it. So it's something to be mindful. It's back to that confession or projection thing. So just having self-awareness, being authentic, looking yourself in the mirror and like trying to keep your head on straight while the world's going crazy is the most valuable thing. And people may be wondering, how do you do that? Do you read these certain articles or these tweets? I'm of the mind, we have an era where there are podcasts, there are interviews every single day with world leaders. You can just watch them. You can go straight to the horse's mouth and listen to them and then judge what they say and compare it to what is written about them. And the truth is not hard to decipher when you are just comparing those things. So where do we go from here? I honestly think that solutions like World are a great idea, where you, can authenticate whether what was said online was actually from the person who is, behind the screen. So it authenticates that, is that a real human? And then the second element is called provenance, which is like, when was it said? Was it said on November 7th, 2025? And then that's time-stamped on blockchain. So if it gets remixed and repeated, that it's a derivative of that original copy. So I think that helps a lot with the truth thing.
Blockchain it's funny because it was like the overhyped thing, but now it almost so clearly becomes the answer.
Yeah. And I'm not a blockchain investor historically outside of Bitcoin and like now Worldcoin.
Well, yeah.
But if it solves a real problem, I think, the use case exactly makes sense. This conversion of blockchain and AI. And that's the thing about Sam is running OpenAI and seeing this trend of deepfake. He is actively building a solution. Doesn't have to be the only solution. It won't be the only solution. But he is working on a solution to that problem. And I think that's the thing that I admire the most, honestly, is that he's not just building it for some greedy billionaire title or trillionaire title to have the largest company in the world. Similar to Elon, he looks at the derivative effects or the second order effects of all the companies he's building and then builds those solutions too. So it's just very thoughtful, it's well-rounded. I wish the two would come together and be friends, but I understand the political gamesmanship of having people think that you hate each other. I think there's value in that.
And it's very, I don't want to say Elon-esque, but the way Sam Altman is doing that. He sees this problem emerging because of one other thing, so then that's why he creates Worldcoin. And I think he was involved in like some sort of massive energy companies as well. I don't know what's happening with that, but the same kind of thing of, one step ahead of the problems, those limiting factors.
Yeah, I think he co-founded one of the biggest fusion startups in the world. So he's thinking about the power that will be necessary the energy that will be required to live this life of abundance, and is actively working on those problems.
Okay, wait. So I want to go rapid fire though, because we got too much to cover. So
Cool.
UBI, back to UBI. What's your is UBI going to happen? Is it on Worldcoin? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't know. I'm not here to predict that it's going to happen. I think that we're very good without UBI. We don't need it right now. Like, I think that the direction of like human prosperity that we are headed in on its current course will get us to somewhere amazing, genuinely, that like the all pockets of society benefit from. So I'm not here banging the drum on UBI. I don't think Sam is either. Like, I think it's something that is there if the market decides they want to try it. And maybe they try it in a small, contained environment. And maybe that looks like around an election. I don't know, like prevent voter fraud by having to scan your eyeball, but then you make some money for voting. And then there's that economic flywheel. I mean, there's customers like Match Group that has, Hinge and all these dating apps.
Oh, okay, like Tinder.
Yeah.
And verify who you are on those. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one use case
That
where I
is
think it's valuable to know who's real. There's also gaming. Like, are you competing against bots or other humans, especially
Do they
for
have
cash
a Neuralink?
prizes?
Like,
Yeah, just
that's the
level
whole thing.
the playing field. I think all that is. Shut my down so I can take this off.
Okay, so because now I've got so many questions on the OpenAI IPO. Just like as a finance nerd, I feel like it's fascinating. We get to look at the financials. I personally think they need so much capital, so I'm excited about that because I think that almost like IPOing is a way to get a ton of capital. So that's why they're looking to the IPO market. It's one of the only ways to get hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
Sam Altman also he seemed very favorable to the idea of like letting people invest, which is like, Tesla and Sam Altman, a lot in common maybe. That's what helped Tesla. We have 10 million, 20 million shareholders. Like, it's such a community and a fam and a beautiful like sort of symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Palantir is a good example.
Palantir is another
The
one.
retail
Robin Hood. So I think there's Lemonade even, like, is a mini one. So I think I'm super excited just as a finance nerd. We haven't had any good companies IPO. It's annoying that it's happening at $1 trillion, but I think I'm kind of like, okay, even if they priced it at $1 trillion, I feel like it would instantly double to $2 trillion. This is gonna be like where the AI bubble really starts to manifest and get wild, but maybe even won't be a bubble because of the amount of value it creates. But do you have any riffs on the OpenAI IPO?
Yeah, I think like humanity, economics is always cyclical. So there are booms and busts. And we're in an AI wave. It's not to the point where everybody's grandma is calling them saying, how do I buy OpenAI? It's not that frenetic and insane as it was maybe in 2021. But
I could see it getting that way though.
I could too. So I think we're making the same point that like, don't be surprised if there's a winter at some point. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's very common to say that we're overbuilding data centers and overbuilding compute, and I think there's a rational that's a rational take.
It's one of my HyperChange isms that a bubble is a prerequisite for a disruptive technology. Like every disruptive technology will have a bubble, and that's an important part of it. Is like investors get so excited because it's so epic and disruptive, and that always does create an over. It's the internet. It gets hype, and then
that's
it
why
delivers.
I love
So
the
it's
haters.
everything.
That's why I love the skeptics, because it just means that we're in a healthy market. When there's that heavy dose of skepticism, we're talking about the overbuild. That is just one data point, but it shows more health in the system than if everybody's talking about how they're going to quit their jobs tomorrow because we're entering this era of abundance. It's going to be led by Elon and Sam and Trump.
Okay, now you didn't introduce me, but you put me on to who I think is my favorite, like, under the radar founder, potentially like one of the next Elon, Sam Altmans, Avi from Friend.
Yeah.
I think he is like, I just follow him online, just his whole vibe. I feel like he's truly a unique thinker.
Yeah.
And he's got incredible technical ability and sees the future, and he's super young. So I feel like he's in a very rare position to actually manifest AI into hardware devices, potentially build the next Apple. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on the Friend pendant, but also through that lens, the OpenAI hardware play, because I feel like that is the next phase.
Yeah.
Sam Altman is like, this is not a secret. Like, he's saying like a huge chunk of our revenue, he wants to come from robotics and hardware.
Yep.
So
yeah, Friend is actually off thesis for 0 to 1, because it's not like critical infrastructure. It's not cleaner water. It's not more abundant energy. It's not like this critical basic human need where you can sprint at it.
Although I would say companionship is a human need, though. So I don't. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just more, it's actually less clear what the product looks like in its final form. When I first invested in Avi, the company was called Tab. It was an entirely different product than what it is today. I bet on him. I don't know what number investor I was, but very early in the pre-seed. And the reason why was when Avi was in high school, I'm trying to remember which came first. COVID started, the outbreak started in March 2020. I think in January or February, Avi had started scraping data from the internet to provide this real-time website where you could see where breakouts were, where hotspots were.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think he's from like Seattle too, Seattle area, which is dope because I'm sitting here, so I'm like, let's go.
And Amazon and Microsoft. So he has just demonstrated like this exceptional ability. He parlayed that in. He ended up getting into Harvard with like a really low GPA, and then while he was in school, Russia invaded Ukraine, and he set up this like Airbnb knockoff that connected hosts in Ukraine with refugees. So you could donate and give people a place to sleep at night.
Wow.
Didn't make a penny from it, but was just like bending the earth to do interesting things.
Yeah, wow.
So then,
that's so cool.
Post ChatGPT launch, we're talking about it's going to know everything about you that you give it digitally. But what about when I'm on a walk and I don't have my phone on me or my phone's in my pocket? Wouldn't it be nice if the model could synthesize like my in-person conversations and use that information to, curate a better experience in my life? So that was the initial reason for a pendant. He went with a necklace because it's, unobstructed. You can hide it under your shirt. It's not so far away from your microphone, from your voice, that you'd have any trouble hearing anything. And every culture has it. So it's like this philosophy of like the easiest, most adoptable type of product. So I just saw tons of thoughtfulness in every decision that he makes. And people might think that the Subway campaign, spending almost $1 million on advertising in New York, to the point where Heineken comes out and does their own mock of his ad without even telling us, they might think that that's just like dumb luck, or maybe it's all staged. It's neither. It's just like it's calculated. And he had a very provocative launch video that kind of mimicked her and isn't actually the future that I believe in. I don't believe in replacing humans with digital friends at all, and neither does Avi. We want to augment friendship through companionship by teaching someone, enabling someone to be the best version of themselves so that they're better prepared to have friendships in the future. And
interesting.
There is this, so that's really the lens that that he's building.
And it's very deep. Like, he's got this pendant that you can talk to. And even as I'm saying it, I'm thinking through because I've even tried to, I've DM'd him and I follow him. I'm like, I want to invest. Like, it's I can't get it. But I'm also like, I haven't even ordered the pendant. So of course he's not going to let me invest. Like, there's a little bit of damn, I'm like, shit, I got to get my friend if I'm even going to have a chance here. But I think it's such a unique and different way. And I I think it's so easy to write the friend off as something weird or not good, but it's almost like this kind of path to find where the value is and explore and push the limits that I find so intriguing about friend.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, he's playing with all these boundary pushing things, and once somehow it's gonna click, I feel like, and it takes that pushing to get somewhere new.
To tie it back to OpenAI and their own wearable hardware device.
Yeah.
Our view is the product itself you make as simple as possible, just non-invasive, something you can hide, drip it into society so it's not this 18-wheeler crash of AI and human friendships merging. So then what levers are there to pull to differentiate yourself in the market? Well, it's brand. That's why he spent a lot of money on the domain. That's why he's spending money on the marketing. And he's solving for mindshare as the algorithms and as the actual product experience improves. I think next I can share, he plans to add a voice out. Right now there's not voice out. It's only you speak to it and then it texts you. So it's not a functional product. It's not good. It's not a good V1. I have one, I don't use it, I don't like it, but I'm actually tripling down. And I say that to his face.
Yeah.
And so he's very receptive to feedback. Potentially add a camera beyond that. So there are ways to iterate and evolve the product. And we don't have any nerves about OpenAI, genuinely, because the product itself, like the non-invasiveness of it and the actual product, like I don't know that there is a better solution. I look forward to looking back on this post-launch and being like, did Johnny Ive just cook up something unbelievable that I can't imagine? And probably.
I'll bet on Avi over Johnny Ive every time. Johnny Ive has had his moment. Like, I'm a big believer that you have to be young to really like take the future and really push it in certain ways. Like Elon is just is in many ways playing out his schemes from 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not new schemes. He's executing them. Mm-hmm. So
the message
I do think Johnny Ive is he's like one of the GOATs of all time.
Absolutely, GOAT.
But I don't know. I'm skeptical and I'm hesitant. But Sam Altman,
it's a consumer product.
So, what do you think is going to happen with OpenAI? What are they going to launch?
I think they're going to launch something very similar.
Yeah, like to the friend.
I think it'll be very similar to the friend. Maybe have voice. I've purely speculating, but I think when it's consumer, having a founder, a face of the brand, who very publicly says we will never sell your data to anyone else. There were Halloween costumes in New York of people like dressing up as friend with graffiti on them, saying like, "Screw you, you're ruining friendships." All these terrible
That's how you know
things.
he's onto something big, when you got the haters.
Yeah, one journalist like compared him to like Andy Warhol in that way. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves at all, but I will say I do think he's in this like Pixar era of his entrepreneurial journey, similar to how Steve Jobs founded Pixar and then Apple. Avi is making a movie right now, a documentary about everything that's going on, every interaction that's happening in Times Square.
That's going to be, wow.
And it's extremely raw. And he doesn't know.
This dude thinks different. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if I don't invest, I like putting out there that, like, I think he's going to be the GOAT of AI.
He thinks different.
Because it's going to, like, I think that's my prediction. That's going to have value. You know what I mean? Like,
for a consumer product, to me, it's intriguing. I think, like, a Roy from Cluely, who I've never met, who I admire because he's a founder and he's putting himself out there and he's doing well. So take it all with a grain of salt.
He's raising the money to make his move. So you got to respect that.
He's doing, like, an enterprise software company, as far as I know. Maybe it's consumer, but it's software. And solving for mindshare, same thing, saying provocative things, seeing Alex Karp on CNBC or Elon and kind of following that model. However, I have no FOMO about not being invested in that particular company because I have my own jockey who is solving for mindshare, but to me, I know behind the curtain that each move is calculated. And I think it's a topic of its own, just to say quickly that like the number one advice that like I heard Fred Wilson say was never have FOMO. Like there are gonna be so many companies.
Oh my God, I've been getting killed
in your
FOMO.
generation.
I feel like I just like, that's so good to hear.
You want to invest in that end up being amazing.
Yeah.
That's great, of course. But like your job as the steward of capital is just to make sure that the investments that you do make are successful. You don't need to be in every single one.
I would actually push back on that because I feel like FOMO is what makes people, that is the driving force behind like okay, I wanted this investment, but I'm always thinking of what's the next, how can I do better? And that push to improve and like not settle on your wins because you want to be a part of the next great thing and you don't want to miss out on it deeply is why I'm investing. Like I feel like that, like my whole investing game almost can be boiled down to FOMO of like HyperChange is happening and I don't want to get left behind.
I think those are separate things because investing in the future that you believe in and wanting to be a part of the companies that you believe in and help shape or shift culture through those companies. It's FOMO adjacent, yes. For sure, and don't get me wrong, to close a fund, like FOMO is valuable. That's how you get docs signed, that's how you get money wired. So yeah. FOMO is so real. But like two things can be true at once, that also resisting the urge to have FOMO or need to be in every hot company or be afraid that your investor or friend or whoever is gonna say, you're supposed to be a tech investor and you're not in this company. Like, you only have so many hours in the day. Anything you say yes to is saying no to something else. Ooh, so I think just being very comfortable in your own skin and like what you choose to invest in and then like watch that bucket of eggs like really closely rather than trying to find every edge of everything on the internet and be a part of it all, I think is a recipe for failure.
So, okay, so we're crushing it. I'm having so much fun right now, but we got to wrap it up a little, I think. Do you have any advice for people watching who are getting into the investing game? Like, and maybe tie that into your own career arc. Like, what are you doing? Why do you like being a VC?
Yeah, it sounds so corny because, like, people ask me often, friends or younger people, and, I'm constantly trying to find the next pipeline of like too young entrepreneur and spend a lot of time with young people to learn from them. And my advice is always like being authentic, which sounds so cringy and so cliche, but like do what feels right in your own heart. And that is how you will get feedback from the world and know what to do with it, because every decision was intentional. So be very intentional, be authentic, and then you might fail more often. But like one of my favorite founders, Ben Nowak from Reflect Orbital, says like if you have 0.5% chance of something happening, then I'm just gonna do it 200 times, and then it's gonna happen. Slight tangent, but like the point is figure out what works for you, and like when you lay your head on the pillow, what you're drawn to, what you're excited about. I come from a place of privilege where I could say like chase your dream, and you might not have to support your family for dinner. So every circumstance is different. You can't have broad brush generic advice, but like with investing specifically, figure out who the founders are that you listen to and you really believe them. You really, really, really believe them, and they like you've had those thoughts yourself and they're just out there doing it, and then go show up. People think that they can do Zoom calls and hide behind their laptop and still get into a deal. The best way that I've gotten into companies is literally just by by just showing up.
Dude, if you
at their
visit,
door.
that buys you so much cred.
Just meeting in person. It's the human relationship that like, to tie a full circle with friend or whatever, like you cannot replace this in person. Like you can't dap up a friend. Like that just feels good.
Let's go.
It does. And I think like, yeah, I think just like really showing up is 90% of it. And then be patient, build the track record, make a mock portfolio if you don't have the capital. And then you can point to it and just start building that track record with people who, over time might want to support you.
Awesome. Well, so what are you working on, Blake? I was inspiring. I'm introspecting on myself now, but
yeah. So I guess I grew up to a very entrepreneurial background and saw a lot of great entrepreneurs and kind of always assumed that I would do something entrepreneurial myself. So in high school, I was working out of Capital Factory on a startup.
Oh, right.
And met Josh Baer and these angels, and I had seen the light. Like I was in high school and I was like, actually, that's the job I want. The angel that gets to selectively decide which ideas and which founders I want to partner with from day 1 or 0. But I haven't yet, there's not that Mars mission or sustainable energy mission or whatever that I need to go found a company myself. It's also just not my natural skill set. Mm-hmm. So from a very young age, I recognized that was a career, and really just worked my way to get to the point where I could invest my own fund. And so it started with track record. It started with telling people to invest in Bitcoin in 2016 and Tesla in 2016, like while I'm in college or even a little before that. And then people said I'm crazy. Like it was so miserable being on that island alone. That's the really most important thing, is like if you believe something, you're convicted in it, and everyone tells you you're crazy,
that's probably one of your best ideas.
Keep going. Keep going. Have the fortitude, have the courage to see it through. And it might take a lot longer than you expected. That was now a decade ago. And now I'm finally at the point where that's bearing fruit, and people are coming to me now and saying, I want my value, my capital to go through you because you've seen where the puck is going, and I like what you're building. So it's a slow grind for sure. I'm 29, I'm turning 30 in like a week and a half. So I have my whole life ahead of me. But I think like how that leads to what I'm doing now. I saw Neve on your podcast, reached out to him, got my first full-time job.
Let's go.
Up in New York.
Through HyperChange, let's go.
Through HyperChange. And we invested in things like Anduril, Varda, Hadrian, like started this hardware thesis of just sort of the best entrepreneurs we wanted to get behind. And then met Austin Reef, who'd founded the Morning Brew. He had a fund himself, and his co-founder Alex, who I'm not related to but have the same last name of, had transitioned away. So Austin was like full-time on Morning Brew. He wanted someone to come in and be full-time on the fund. So I came in for the second half of the fund and helped him deploy that, wrote the investor updates, did a large chunk of the work, and then got to the point where I saw what Dave was doing with HF0 and SF, of this like founder-focused, private place that people can really build great things. I thought, I want to do that in Texas. I want to do that not on the coast, not in California, not in New York, but where I'm from, outside of Austin.
Y'all Street,
where Lonsdale is, where Saronic is, where Base is, where Tesla is, where SpaceX is, where Starbase isn't too far, and where people are really supportive of freedom and trying things. And there's still not that like Silicon Valley cyclical nature of like having amazing exits and then just paying it forward. So there's a ton of alpha. To be someone's first believer,
wow.
Be the first person that tells someone like, I believe in you, I think you're special, I get what you're doing, I'm gonna let you see it through, you're gonna try in earnest your very best. If it doesn't work out, I'm probably gonna back you again, as long as you try your hardest. Like that is, sometimes I'm like, I don't wanna go be public because like that's when people steal your ideas. But like if more people do things like that, then great, society is better. It's also like, not everyone has all of the tools at their disposal to even be able to do that. So, led me to starting my own fund earlier this year. It's called 021. Of course, inspired by the book. Peter, absolute GOAT. Like
yeah. Who hasn't been inspired by Zero? Like I feel like that's the start of the inception.
Yeah, everyone in tech has been. And the core theory behind it that I took away was that the next great company will not look like the last one.
Yeah.
Like when
that's such a powerful insight.
When Apple was built, it didn't look like Microsoft. When Facebook was built, it didn't look like Apple.
Tesla, the car company.
Exactly, and so on and so on. And it's because there's the convergence of new things all happening at once that bake the cake for the founder who is right to carry that torch. So maybe Avi looks crazy, but in this era of attention is all you need, and this understanding of consumer and AI and Gen Alpha and are all converging, maybe he does carry the torch. Maybe it's water desalination. Maybe it's batteries. There's plenty of different plenty of different forms. Where I really wanted to go with this is that like, what does the next great VC fund look like? Does it look like Andreessen Horowitz? Does it look like Sequoia?
Take like 0 to 1 to that, to the financial firm.
Yeah,
that's different.
I think like to be the next great thing, the convergence of things have changed. It's not what made Wall Street great. It's not what made Silicon Valley great. It's something new. It's not YC again. YC is amazing. Gary Tant, shout out, major respect.
Wow.
But the next YC is not going to look like the current YC.
It's so simple, but I'm like, I don't know, and that hits home for me because with HyperGuap, it was such a like, the SPV model, which I think people hate on, but to me it was like this idea of crowdfunding people to back, each one deal at a time. Like, I feel like, we gave it a stab in our own way to try and like think differently about what a VC firm could be. So now I'm like, you're making me think even more about like how things are different. Like, I don't know where it all goes.
I think it goes to entrepreneurs want to work with other entrepreneurs. They want to work with founders, people who have actually taken risk. They don't gravitate as much to not to disparage it, but like the HBS into Wall Street prototype. I think they more so gravitate towards the unconventional path that is just trying things, doing things, and like understands that it, how the sausage is made, that it's not always pretty, and that you're really going to be there for them in their crucible moments, and like founders will speak to that, and that's the biggest thing. The last thing on that is like inventing and reinventing. So like I'm a founder of 0 to 1. It's just me. I'm solo GP. Have an amazing bench of thought partners that I look at deals with and discuss with. But ultimately, it's me or it doesn't happen.
I like that. Dictator.
Yeah, exactly. Point here. And the point that I was trying to make is I'm gonna have to reinvent again to attract the next entrepreneur in however many years once this thesis is fully played out. And that's the beauty of it. That's what I love about it, is that I am a founder. Like I do view myself as like starting a company that right now it's first check seed stage technology companies on critical infrastructure, but in the future as the environment changes, so am I, or I'm gonna be obsolete. So not building anything that I'm trying to like pass down to anyone else or have them keep the same way. I'm just doing me, more of like an a lot guilt in some ways, inspo of like one man, you know, solo GP, team around them, and just evolves with the times to be the best partner you can be to whatever is interesting happening in the world. Maybe it is music in the future. I have no idea. But like right now, I feel really strongly about like preserving Western values or standing up for Western values and like being a good influence on the rest of the world, letting the rest of the world do their own values, but letting us do ours and let us see this American experiment continue. So that's why companies like, you know, Anduril, Palantir, SpaceX, Tesla are all interesting to me. And just keep moving with the times.
And it's inspiring that like we're having this conversation in the next boom town, Austin. Like it's, you know, this to me is, there isn't, when I come to Austin, I get excited about America. Like when I go to Seattle, I don't.
Yep.
You know, and it's, and I feel like that's, and I've never felt that before in America, maybe even the world actually. Yeah. But like in Austin, there's something in the air that's different.
Yep.
So.
And it all depends on where you are and who you're spending time with, because there are plenty of pockets in every city.
Yeah, SF can be like that too.
Where really interesting things are happening. So hopefully it rubs off on everyone and everyone has this, you know, culture of trying things and just, you know, taking shots on goal, being a little bit more risk tolerant than maybe our parents' generation was or grandparents' generation was. But like Austin as like Y'all Street and Silicon, whatever you want to call it, by the time that's mainstream, it's like, all right, we got to find a new city. Like adverse selection is so real of like people seeing on Twitter or wherever and wanting that status signal of like coming to the place where they can go home and tell their friends how amazing it is. And some of that is good, but most of the real value is from the people that truly have their blinders on. They're not doing it for anyone other than themselves and the mission or the problem that they want to see solved. And I do think there's a lot of that in Texas because there's just so much space and there's just like this industrial, you know, manufacturing prowess and wanting to be left alone and not really chasing the clout or the celebrity, you know, type personality. So I think it's in a really healthy spot, and I hope it stays that way.
Let's go. Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I think shout out Galley's full circle moment. He's you can just do things.
Dude, crushed it, bro. Well, I hope y'all follow Blake. I'll put his socials below. I think he's a rising star in venture, someone that should be on your radar. I have bought my own VC firm, so that's the only VC I invest in. But if I was gonna invest in another VC, it wouldn't be A16Z, it wouldn't be anyone else. It would be Blake, 100%, without a second, without a doubt. So
appreciate that.
I'm hyped that we got to like pick your brain for an hour. Like that's huge, bro.
Yeah,
like that's a treat. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Peace.